You're listening to the Unlocking Africa podcast.
I was employed by a bus company called Express Motorways, where I was selling bus tickets. I've elevated from being a bus conductor to a plane conductor. Let me open my own travel agency. Within the 6 months of operating, we actually were voted the best travel agency in the country, competing with those that had operated for many years. I used to employ about 20 travel consultants. You find now that I only have 5 in the office. They are still performing the same roles that the 20 were performing before COVID. Every client who buys a ticket from our office, whether economy or business class, they have free access to the lounge.
Stay tuned as we bring you inspiring people who are unlocking Africa's economic potential. You're listening to the Unlocking Africa podcast with your host, Tessa Adamu.
Welcome to another episode of the Unlocking Africa podcast, where we explore the innovators, entrepreneurs, and leaders who are unlocking Africa's economic potential. Today, we're exploring one of the continent's most dynamic sectors, travel and tourism, and how it's unlocking new frontiers for trade, investment, and growth. My guest today is Zodwa Mkandla, the Managing Director and founder of Traverze Travel, one of Zimbabwe's leading travel management companies with over 2 decades of industry leadership. From building a trusted brand in a challenging economy to expanding across borders and redefining customer experience through innovation. Zodwa, welcome to the Unlocking Africa podcast. How are you?
I'm very well. Thank you so much for having me. I'm excited.
Fantastic. It's a pleasure to have you on the podcast.
Thank you.
Many of our listeners will know you as one of Zimbabwe's leading entrepreneurs, but few may fully appreciate the business journey that brought you here. I know you founded Traverze Travel in 2003, and since you've kind of transformed it into one of Zimbabwe's most respected travel management companies. So could you take us back to those early days in terms of what inspired you to start your own travel business?
Okay, I'll take you back to 1993 when I finished my education. I was employed by a bus company called Express Motorways, where I was selling bus tickets. So most of the people that I've spoken to have always said I've elevated from being a bus conductor to a plane conductor. So I was working for this company for 2 good years, selling tickets and all that, and I was very inspired because I used to have so many clients coming in and out back in the days. And then 1995, I started my journey in an actual travel agent where I was employed as a receptionist for this travel company. And then from there into a junior consultant, intermediate, senior consultant. And, I was one person who was never satisfied working for one company. I always thought that, I always deserve better. So I moved quite a bit of companies between 1995 to 2003 when I started my own agency. The reason why I started my own agency, I always wanted more. And the last company I worked for before 2003, I was the marketing director for this company. It was called Travel and Tours, but I don't know if they still exist now. So when I was working for this company, I felt I was doing all the marketing and I was bringing all the money to the business and I wasn't being rewarded enough, which is why I decided, let me open my own travel agency in 2003. Since then, I've never looked back. Within the 6 months of operating, we actually were voted the best travel agency in the country, competing with those that had operated for many years. I'm talking in terms of revenue that we had brought in the 6 months of operation. We had brought in so much money, more than those that had 12 months to operate. So since then, we've never looked back. We've been marketing throughout Zimbabwe, trying to get more and more business. We opened offices in Zambia. We opened offices in the DRC of Congo. I've just came back 2 days ago from the Congo. I've got a business there. So we really have worked hard, making sure that we deal mainly with corporates, making sure the corporate world is looked after. Fine, we'd also do private holidays for individuals as well. But our main core business is focusing on the corporate world, making sure all the corporates are moved from one country to another, their air tickets, hotel accommodation, conferences. We do all that for them. So far, so good. We're happy. We've been operating since 2003. This is 2025, and we've never looked back. It hasn't been easy. There were so many ups and downs. But I think since 2010, things have been extremely good. And, we are still one of the leading travel agents in Zimbabwe. And we hope to be a travel agent to reckon with in Africa and beyond.
Thank you for sharing that. As you mentioned, you went from bus conductor to plane conductor, and you've achieved all of this in extremely challenging environments. We know that the environment in Zimbabwe in the early 2000s wasn't easy. So what were the most pivotal decisions or turning points that you believed helped you establish Traverse as a trusted brand?
I think what happened in 2008, that time, actually we closed shop for a good 6 months. But because of the clients that believed in me, one of my mentors was one of my bankers. He said to me, look, yes, you've closed shop and we believe you can take this brand further than where you've taken it, and closing is not an option. They came to me and offered me a loan, which I did not deserve it. I didn't have security to give them for the loan. As you know, most countries, especially in Zimbabwe, you cannot walk into a bank and ask for a loan and you'll get it without security. But because they believed in what I was doing, they believed in my vision, and because I had served this bank for so many years, they trusted me with their money without security. And that was the hardest moment of my life, or hardest moment of my company. And because they gave me that money, I had to work very hard to make sure that we paid them every penny. And of course, within a year, we were able to give them back their money without security, without anything, just the trust that they had in us. So it's really important in business that when you have clients, you serve them very well, you are trustworthy, you are honest, you are loyal, even at the most difficult time of the business, as long as your clients can rely and they have got confidence that you can deliver. So for me, that was a turning point, that whatever I do, I must not disappoint my clients. No matter how little money I've been given by a client, I must make sure that I'm trusted with a little so that they are able to trust me with more money. Since then, those clients are still my clients up to today. The good thing is the clients I've served since 1995, 3/4 of them, I'm still serving them up to today. They've never gone to other travel agents. There's more than 250 travel agents in Zimbabwe, but they've stuck with our travel agency mainly because of the service that we give. Even if things are tough, we still try to make sure that we keep our end of the bargain. The clients trust us with their money. We make sure that we give them what they've paid for.
I guess having long-lasting repeat clients is always a very positive sign.
Yes.
If we keep on the theme of taking on the loan and also the building and scaling that you achieved through that loan, we know, as you mentioned, Traverse now operates beyond Zimbabwe in South Africa, Zambia, Congo. What were the biggest lessons you learned from scaling across borders in Africa?
Zambia, South Africa has been easy to manage because we speak the same languages. It's easy to communicate. The most difficult times I've had going to the Congo is the language barrier. They speak French. Most of the people there, actually all the people there, they speak French. Only a percentage will speak English. So it is so difficult. It's been the most difficult office to manage, the one in the Congo. I've had to partner now with Congolese because they understand their own market better. They understand their own people better. I've only given my expertise from the background, but it's very difficult to deal with people that only want to speak their language. They can speak French, they speak Lingala, there's so many other languages that side. So it's been the most difficult time in all my businesses to manage because we cannot communicate. And they seem to want to support their own people. So if you're not from there, you will not get the support that you want. I remember I had to close an office in Botswana because the Tswana people believed in supporting their own Tswana people. And I do understand why support a foreigner when you can promote your own local businesses. Yes, as much as we want to be supported, but I understood where they were coming from. So what I've had to do, the most difficult, I don't believe in partnership, but I've had to make sure I get a partner. So far, I haven't been disappointed because the partners that I'm working with in these countries, they share the same vision as me. They want to also make money as much as I want to make money. So we're working well together. But I always like to be in control of whatever investment that I put in any place. But unfortunately, I can't do the same. But I've not made any losses. We are working well together. And I want to open in many more other countries. But, age is not on my side. But I'm not giving up.
Never give up, never give up.
Yeah, I've never give up, yeah.
So when operating in different African markets, are there specific changes or adaptations that you've had to make to your business model?
Yes, in most of these countries, Zimbabwe, for example, in Zimbabwe, our clients are used to a credit facility line. It's easy to acquaint yourself with the payment systems and all that because it's your local market. But now when you go to a foreign market, for example, I had a meeting 2 days ago where I was told that, we pay after 30 to 60, 70 days. We are required by the airline to give them their money within 5 days of tickets issuance. And they will tell you that, no, we'll only give you money after 60 days. And you are stuck. And being a foreigner, you cannot get an overdraft facility in a foreign land because they don't know who you are. They don't know where you are coming from. They don't know if you are going to run away with their money or all that. It's very difficult to operate in a foreign land, which is not your own. But I'm not saying it's difficult so that people scare away. But I love challenge. I love challenges. So the more difficult it is, the more I want to be in that space because I don't believe in failure. I don't believe in saying no. I believe whatever I want, I'll always win and I'll always get it. So the most important thing, you have to build relationships with the right departments, the right people in that country so that whatever you are failing to get, you can get it. There's no in my vocabulary. It's always yes, and I always get what I want. I always, it might take long, but eventually I always make sure that I achieve whatever I set myself to achieve.
That's the spirit. Keeping to the theme of, you mentioned finance and payment terms, we know that the travel and tourism industry is known for its tight margins and also rapid change.
Yes.
So how have you managed to navigate this whilst maintaining your operational efficiency and also the high-touch service that you provide?
I think with the travel industry, it's not a margins, it's a volumes game.
Yes.
The more clients you have, the more money that you make. But if you concentrate on a few clients, you will not make the money because there's so much competition. Like I said, in Zimbabwe alone, official travel agents, we've got more than 250. So imagine each department that you deal with, they request 3-4 quotations. So the margins that we put on each ticket are very minimum. So you have to work on volumes. You have to have an added advantage that no one else has. Why should they come to me instead of going to the other 249 travel agents? You must have something that is different that they come back to you for, which is something that I've been able to do in Zimbabwe. I've got the best airport lounge at the airport. I've got one of the only travel agents' office at the airport. I'm one of the only companies that operate 24/7 in Zimbabwe. I'm one of the only companies that also do airport transfers for my clients. So you have to have something that is different from others so that they come to you, no matter how expensive your ticket might be, but they must be able to say, okay, fine. Yes, there's a $50 difference, but that $50, is it worth me being inconvenienced? Should I just go to the travel agent of choice that I've always used and I know I'm going to get what I want? I know I'm not going to be disappointed. One thing that we are known for in our office, we deliver service delivery. Our clients are never disappointed. Not that we don't make mistakes. Once in a while, we might make one mistake, but it's how do we deal or how do we handle the mistakes that we've made? Sometimes it's situations beyond our control that we come across. And yes, clients will complain that you've made a mistake or you've inconvenienced them, but sometimes the flight is cancelled. It's beyond my control, but it's still my problem because I have issued that ticket for the client. I have done that booking, and the client only knows Zodwa or only knows Traverze. So Traverze is to blame. But how do we handle such issues for our clients to make sure that tomorrow they come back without them blaming us for a service that was not delivered fully? So it's important to understand your clients, who they are, what they want, what they believe in. Because clients are different. We handle them differently. So because we've taken time to tailor make or custom make individual travel arrangements for all our different clients. So we understand them, and we've assigned different management consultants for each and every client that we have at our offices. So when there's a challenge at 2 a.m. or at 3 a.m., we've got clients all over the world, and there's different time zones all over the world. There's always someone who's going to handle that client. So you will never have a client getting stuck because they could not get hold of us. They will always get hold of us. If they are stuck, maybe it's because the airline they're traveling in, maybe there's an issue or there are problems, and there are things that are beyond us that we could not deliver. So things like that, I think clients also do understand that, okay, fine, it's beyond them, even though they'll still want to blame.
You slightly touched on this point in terms of Traverse being the first Zimbabwean travel agency to establish a lounge at Robert Gabriel Mugabe International Airport. Mm-hmm. What business thinking went into that decision?
As you know, in most of these lounges, you have to have a business class ticket or to be a frequent flyer of an airline, like at the top ranking, maybe a platinum or a gold member for you to access any lounge at these airports. So what we decided as a travel agent that, look, you know what, let's give something different to our clients. Every client who buys a ticket from our office, whether economy or business class, they have free access to the lounge. That is why we opened that lounge. And because of the amount of clients that we had, we could actually, on a good day, fill up the lounge by ourselves. All our clients could fill up the lounge without having to get other clients next door. But now what we've then said, we've extended the facility of the lounge to other clients, even those that have not bought tickets from Traverze Travel. They still have access at a fee to get into the lounge. And also what we've done, we've partnered with some of the airlines, because what has happened in Zimbabwe now, most of the airlines have pulled out from having their own lounges. They've partnered with some of the lounges that we have there. So fortunately for us, we're the pioneers of having a lounge at our airport. We've had our lounge since 2018. So all the others that have come in, they've only started having lounges maybe for the past 2 years. So we've been in the business of lounges for 12 years. So that is why we opened the lounge, because we wanted to make sure that our clients have got a safe space at the airport. Some people go to the airport an hour or 2 hours before, and they didn't have anywhere to go. They'll just be sitting on the benches within the airport. So we've created a space for them to be able to have meetings prior to taking off, for them to be able to meet their colleagues, to meet their traveling partners prior to that. And we've also opened a business center at the airport. And also, we're one of the only few lounges that will offer a proper breakfast. Just like you go in a hotel. When it's lunchtime, you'll have a proper hot meal. When it's dinner time, you'll have a proper hot meal again. So we pride ourselves with being different from what everyone else is offering. So what we offering, you will not get it in any other lounge at our airports. And I think just 2 weeks ago, we were voted the best lounge in Zimbabwe at the airport. So that's us.
You've highlighted the value the lounge brings to the clients. But I was wondering, in terms of the diversification element the lounge brings, how do you see it in terms of fitting into a long-term strategy for business resilience for Traverse?
I think we'll keep the lounge for long term. I think without the lounge, there's no Traverse. So it's something that we are properly married, though we manage them differently. But without the lounge, it means our clients have to go and use lounges of other people. And then we risk having our clients interacting with other travel agents. So reason why we've kept that lounge is we want to keep our clients to ourselves. What they do when they go beyond borders, I mean, that has got nothing to do with us. What we're working on long term is partnering with other lounges beyond Zimbabwe, so that everyone who has a Traverze Travel ticket can then access a lounge, for example, in South Africa, the Sky Lounge, maybe to access a lounge, for example, in Dubai when they're transiting, in Doha, in all these other airports. That is what we are looking at long term, to see that our clients, wherever they go, they still have that sense of belonging, that as long as I'm holding a Traverze Travel ticket, I've got free access to these number of lounges all over the world.
In addition to the lounge, in terms of the innovation or how you've diversified the business, you've embraced technology and some digital tools. So how would you say tech has changed how Traverse operates and also engages with clients?
We've opened an online booking tool where clients can actually book directly onto our website. And the only thing that they cannot do for now is actually pay online. We are working on a payment engine right now where they can actually pay and get a ticket as if they are buying a ticket on any engine online. So instead of people coming directly to our offices, yes, because of technology, they can just send emails or they can just make phone calls. They've always done that. So what we've done is we've done an app as Traverze Travel where someone will download this app and they will make their bookings on that app. They have all the requests. At the end of the day, the app then sends to the office so that the ticket is issued without them physically calling or talking to somebody in our offices. So long term, we want to have our own booking site where people can book and pay online without them coming to us directly. And I think that is where the world is going. You'll find that maybe in another 5 years, I'm sure in places like America, maybe the UK, I'm not sure, they don't have physical contact with travel agents. Most people right now are buying tickets online. So for us also not to be left out, we would want to have our own online booking engine where people can actually go onto a www.traverzetravel.com online. They search for tickets, do everything, book their hotels, accommodation, airport transfers, everything on our own engine. So that is what we want to do long term. I'm sure in another 2-3 years, there won't be a physical office. We might have to be just doing everything online. And that is where the world is going. And also we have to keep up with times and do that. So I think if we have this interview 2 years from now, I'm sure that's where Traverze Travel is going to be.
Very interesting. It's clear that you've built more than a company, it's an ecosystem. So if we can broaden the lens and look at Africa's wider travel economy, how significant do you think travel and tourism is to Africa's wider economic transformation or growth?
I think, like, for example, in our country, we've seen a huge growth in our tourism industry. For example, Victoria Falls has been voted a destination of choice in the whole world by Forbes. That's a month or so ago. So you'll find that now with people knowing more about our destination, before people would say, come to South Africa and see Victoria Falls. But now we're very aggressive and people didn't know that Victoria Falls is actually not in South Africa. It is in Zimbabwe. I know we still have a fight between ourselves and Zambia. Zambia saying it's better in their side and we're saying it's better. And of course, Victoria Falls is most beautiful when you watch it from the Zimbabwean side. And most of Africa now, we have to combine. I think Africa should just combine and be one big country. And we share the tourist attractions that we have as Africa and invite the world into Africa to come and visit Africa. And the money is used to improve what Africa has to offer to the world. So I think it's very important for Africa to work together. Our tourism ministers, they have to work together as Africans. I think a week ago, our Minister of Tourism is now the Vice President of the UN in tourism in Africa, which is a big, big, big milestone for us as Zimbabwe and as Africa. So it's something that we're really looking at. We are excited. And I think Zimbabwe's tourism market, it actually has increased, I think, by another 5-7% compared to what it was last year. And I think next year is going to grow even bigger and bigger and bigger. The margins are going to be out of this world. It's the fastest growing industry actually right now in our country. And I'm sure it's the same for Africa because we've got South Africa, it's beautiful, Cape Town. We've got Zanzibar, Kenya, all these places. They are all in Africa. And we have to work together and promote each African country as Africans. The Europeans are doing the same. The Americans, they're doing the same. Why can't we do the same as Africans? And the money comes and benefits and improves our landscape as Africa. I think it takes us, it takes Africans to grow the African economy. We can't rely on Europe or America to grow it for us. We have to do it ourselves and show that we can do it as Africans. We can do it as Zimbabweans. We don't expect a European person to market Victoria Falls. If I don't market my own Victoria Falls, I can't expect someone in Europe to advertise Victoria Falls for me. It is my role as a Zimbabwean child to make sure that I sell my country to the world. People must ask, where is Zimbabwe? Where is Victoria Falls? They will not know if we don't sell. They will not buy tickets to our destinations if we are not vocal about who we are, about our tourist destinations. So I think it is up to us as Africans, as Zimbabweans, to make sure we put our country on the global stage.
You highlighted something quite important in terms of Africa should combine and work together. We know the African Continental Free Trade Area, it promises greater mobility and trade integration. But what role do you see it playing in supporting that intra-Africa trade, tourism, and also, most importantly, connectivity amongst African countries?
I think most importantly, we have to look at our roots. As Africans, we have to, like right now, I think we only have a few airlines that are striving, that are moving in between the connectivity of, for example, if I wanted to go to, let's take it back during COVID time. There was only one airline that was connecting. Just to get to the Congo, it will take you almost close to 24 to 30 hours to get there. A destination which is only 4 hours if you had a direct flight. So I think our African airlines have to come together and see how best they can have direct flights between these countries. For example, now, if I wanted to go to Kenya, for example, I think there is a direct flight to Kenya. There's a direct flight to Ethiopia because Ethiopian Airlines and Kenya has come here. But that's about it. The other airlines, we have to fly via other airports, via other countries to get them. And in terms of cost, it is more expensive for me to fly to Kenya than for me to fly to Dubai. If I take Kenya Airways, for example, to go Harare, Nairobi to Dubai, it will cost me $600 in economy class. If I fly Harare to Nairobi in economy class, it's almost $1,000. Where is the sense? Where is this? Why is it so expensive for me to go to Kenya than to go to Dubai? And because of that, it then becomes difficult for us to attract the travelers to come to our African destinations. So you find someone, for example, going for Christmas, they will go to Dubai. They will rather go to Dubai than to go to Kenya or go to Tanzania because it's more expensive to reach our African destinations. They are not accessible. We have not sat down as Africa to look at the prices that we are giving to the traveling public, which is why we find Dubai is striving more than we are striving because their prices are very fair. You will get, for example, if in accommodation from a 1-star to a 10-star hotel, for example. With us, you will have our hotels are so expensive. A general person, a normal civil servant, cannot afford to stay in our African hotels. So that is something our tourism ministers must look at and sit down and see where are we going wrong. Why is our pricing factor more expensive than all these international destinations? So we should be attractive as Africa for people to come and visit us, for us to grow our tourism and travel industry. That is my thinking.
So from your experience, what policy or infrastructure reforms do you think could unlock more business, travel and tourism on the continent?
I think first and foremost is the pricing structure. We should sit down as Africa and decide on how are we going to price our flights. I know I'm talking about it as a traveler or as a travel agent, not talking from the point of view of the actual airline because I don't know what their expenses are. Maybe it's very expensive to fly a short distance than to fly long distance. I wouldn't know. But I think it is very important for us to sit down and discuss our pricing structures for both flights and accommodation. I don't know what policies exactly they would come up with, but I think it is fair for people to sit down before they make decisions on their pricing structures, because that's the only thing that is a letdown for us as Africans, that the prices are too expensive. They are not achievable. Take, for example, someone who's earning $600-700 a month. They've got a family. They have to pay education, school fees for their kids. They must pay rent. They must buy food. They might never afford a ticket to travel outside their own country, for example. They can't. So how can we make sure everyone participates in the tourism sector? How does everyone maybe even save $1 a month so that by the end of the year they're able to take their family on holiday? How do we do that? What are we putting together? Before, back in the 90s, 1995, the tickets were very cheap and people could get credit facilities to travel and then they pay later. But now I don't think that is happening anymore because, one, people are not loyal or they don't have security just to get a loan, a short loan. They don't have security for that. So banks also, they are safeguarding themselves from us. They're not giving us loans for us to travel or to even go on holiday. So we really have to sit down and discuss how do we price our services? How do we price? How do the airlines give us reasonable fares? I've never understood how a ticket can be $600 to go to Dubai on King Airways, yet to go to Nairobi is $1,000.
I guess despite these challenges, you've managed to navigate them, including crises such as the economic turbulence and also the global pandemic. We had COVID-19, which hit the travel industry very hard.
Yeah.
During that period, how did Traverse adapt, and what permanent shift and new trends do you see in the African travel industry post-pandemic?
Okay, I'll talk about the pandemic itself and then to your question. It was the most difficult time of Traverse Travel. During the pandemic, I think the first 2-3 months, we thought, okay, fine, this thing is going to come and it's going to go. We were mandated to pay our employees during that time. But we got to a stage where we said, okay, where are we going to get the money? We're not working. No one was working. We ended up not paying people. As a result, most of the employees never returned after the pandemic. They found new jobs or bigger companies, or some left the country. But it was the most difficult time. And after the pandemic, most of the clients, because remember during the pandemic, that's when these Zoom meetings started, people were doing everything online. So you'll find that after the pandemic now, we lost quite a lot of clients because now people got to learn that, oh, I actually don't have to fly for a physical meeting to Europe. I can actually do a Zoom call. I can actually do a Zoom meeting. We can actually do so many things. So we lost quite a lot of clients. The volumes of travels were almost cut down by half because people then realized that they don't have to physically go abroad or physically fly for meetings. Most of these meetings where people will travel 10 people, the company might just pick one person to travel. Where we'll have conferences, for example, for so many people, those conferences can happen online. So you will find that because of the pandemic, many companies opened eyes on saving. They are saving money, but we are losing revenue. But there's nothing we can do. We had to create other ways and other avenues of making money besides the travel. So it is what it is. We have to be innovative and try other avenues and try other things and see what we can do better. But it was difficult. But we're okay now. We've come back to our senses.
What specifically would you say are those new trends or ways of working that you implemented post-pandemic?
For us, what we've done is, besides the scaling down on the numbers of employees, most of the people are working from home now. They don't have to physically be at the office as well because we are no longer interfacing with the physical clients. Clients do everything online. So that is what we've also done as a company. Where I used to employ about 20 travel consultants, you find now that I only have 5 in the office. And they are still performing the same roles that the 20 were performing before COVID. So I might say maybe the payroll is less. But, I don't know if we're saving, but even though we're still one of the top travel agents, we don't have as much business as we had before COVID. We have bought more buses and more cars, so we're doing more car hire and more rentals than we were doing before. Because post-COVID, we're just only doing air tickets mainly. Fine, we do airport transfers, just limited numbers. But now we're doing more car hires. You'll find that our buses are all over the country. We've bought 20-seater buses. We've got 30-seater buses. And we're getting ourselves engaged in so many conferences where we are hired to take delegates all over the country and across the borders. So it hasn't been easy. It's still something that we're getting used to. But I think we are comfortable, we are happy, and we couldn't do it better. We have got no control. No one ever thought that there would be COVID-19, but it came unexpectedly. We have to live with the results and try and find other businesses that we never thought. I actually believe in multiple streams of revenue where we don't just rely on one revenue, which is just travel. So I've engaged myself in many other businesses that are different from just travel, but that then feed into my travel business.
So keeping on the theme of new trends, are there any new trends that you're seeing in Africa's travel industry that you're quite excited about?
I think there's not many. It's only that maybe before people were not so live on social media. So most of the trends that we're thinking are new trends, they were always there. But because social media, we're not that active on social media, would not see them. But we see now there's so many people on TikTok advertising destinations that we did not know about. You'll find now if one wants to go on holiday, they first go on TikTok to check what is the trend, the most visited destination in the world. You go on TikTok, they'll tell you. For example, I went to Japan. I'd never been to Japan, and I saw it on TikTok. Fine, I knew there was Japan. I would take my clients there, but I'd never gone there. But because of this TikTok now, we've also engaged a TikToker in our travel agency to be on TikTok to sell our destinations, because we've realized that most people, they are copying from social media where to go. They are copying from social media what they must do. That has been done. Like, for example, skincare. Everyone is copying from social media. Oh, now there's Korean products. There's so many things that are happening. So I think social media has become a trend.
If we move from new trends and look to the future, looking ahead to the next 5 to 10 years, where do you see the next wave of opportunity in Africa's travel sector?
I'll talk about what I wish or what I'm planning to achieve. In our country, we don't have direct flights like from here to Europe. I'm advocating if you can get investors that could come in, we get direct flights from Zimbabwe, for example. I know we're talking about Africa, but I'm more concerned about my own country. We get direct flights from Zimbabwe, maybe to London, or Zimbabwe to Asia. We have most of the things in our country, we import things either from China or from Dubai or from Turkey. There's new trends. People are going to Turkey to buy different commodities. So in the 5-10 years, I'm in the process of putting a proposal together of getting investors to come and start an airline that is going to be able to take our Zimbabwean people to all over the world, but using the direct and, most importantly, cheapest routes that we can get.
Fantastic. And what part or what role do you see Traverze playing in that new kind of vision that you see?
It's actually going to be called Traverze Airlines.
Oh, wow. Fantastic. I like the sound of that. And I look forward to seeing it happen and take place. I will be one of the first people on that flight.
I'll give you a complimentary ticket. Don't worry.
Brilliant, brilliant.
Quote of the week.
As people, we often have quotes, mantras, African proverbs or affirmations that keep us going when times are good or when times are challenging. Do you have one that you can share with us today?
For me, never give up, never look backwards. If ever you fall, what is important, pick yourself up, dust the dust, and move on. Failure is not an option.
Amazing. Zodwa, it's been an inspiring conversation. We've seen how, as you said, you went from bus conductor to airline conductor. Amazing story, amazing journey.
Thank you.
You're one of those people who is definitely redefining what is possible within your industry, within Africa. Keep on going, keep on moving, keep on making things happen.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Join me again next week as we continue to uncover the people, ideas, and businesses unlocking Africa's economic potential, one conversation at a time. Thank you to everyone who has listened and stayed tuned to the podcast. If you've enjoyed this episode, please subscribe, share, or tell a friend about it. You can also rate, review us in Apple Podcasts or wherever you download your podcast. Thank you and see you next week for the Unlocking Africa podcast.